Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the Habibis.
Three game developers drinking good Arab tea.
We are all your hosts for today, our 100th episode.
100.
Wow, how did we
100.
make it here?
100. Who would have
That is a
thought?
lot.
So many episodes. So many
It's
episodes.
I'm so honored that y'all came together with me and that we were part of this really incredible podcast. I have so many fond memories.
A
I'm
lot
really,
of fun
really, really
memories.
happy.
Yeah.
Such an
100,
honor
100
to be
episodes worth.
such an honor to be on this journey with you, Osama Dorius.
Yes, indeed, Fauzi Mesmar.
I love it. Rami
Oh,
Ismail?
okay, yeah, thank you. Thank you. I was like, I'm gonna stay unnamed here.
No. I love it.
Yeah, that was actually we should have probably thought about that none of our names were.
We made it work.
I'm glad that 100 episodes in, it's still nonsense like this.
It's very subtle, like it's also on brand.
Yeah. Great segue there. Great segue.
How have y'all been? It's been a while.
Too long.
Too
It's
long.
really been too long. It's been a bit of a crazy life, though.
Eventful.
Yeah, lots been happening. Yeah, but probably a good thing to start this episode with, don't you think? Like, just sort of like
Yeah.
the radio silence and everything that's kind of been happening. Yeah, cool. How about we start with that? Everything
let's
that's
talk
been
about
happening is actually very straightforward. We got very busy at the same time, unexpectedly.
Yes. I have a lifetime that fit in the last 2 months, and I'm sure you two have even more than that.
Oh my god. There was at some point in 1 week I saw Rami in 2 different countries.
I can only imagine. And you were gonna come see me in a third, and that was just
That's
a little
true.
too much. I remember that week. Wild.
Yeah.
Remember that week? I saw Rami in London.
Yes.
Yep.
And we recorded an episode with Anissa.
Yes.
And then I think 3 or 4 days later, I was in Amsterdam and Rami took me flying.
Yes.
Yep. I took Fauzi flying.
Yes.
Osama, I will say, like now that I've flown with both of the Habibis,
Yes.
I will say, Fauzi is a lot more careful on the turns than you. So where Osama had like a very good, very like very intentional, like good turn on it, like like from 0 to 30-degree turn in like just one move, like very confident, very good. I like that.
Thank you.
Fauzi was very slow with his turns, so turns took a very long time. Now on the flip side, when it came to ascend and descent, Osama was very kind on the ascent, on the climb, but on descent, he just pushed the airplane into a straight nosedive. I went from watching clouds to cows in like 2 seconds, and that's normally not what happens. Well, Fauzi's carefulness there made his climb and descent very nice. So
there you go.
Osama wins on the turns, Fauzi wins on the climb and descent. So
one day we'll fly together. Fauzi, you take care of the ascent and descent, and I'll turn us around.
Habibi Airlines.
Habibi Airlines. Safety
Teamwork.
First. Sometimes.
Sometimes. Safety
first.
third.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Safety is the third because I'm the third and I can fly. So in this case, it works.
Safety third, love it.
Yeah.
Is that the episode title? Safety third.
I like
First
it.
5
I like
minutes. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
Let's see.
The thing is, like, I usually drive like this. So, like, all of my friends say that I'm a very careful driver. Like I am always at the speed limit, and I I am very careful to always follow the street signs,
Right.
which is a hazard in the Arab world. Like,
right, for
I am the idiot that's driving too slow, and why is this guy stopping at the traffic light?
I mean, let's be frank, Fauzi. Not a lot of people have your experience with like dodging raindrops in a car. So surely you have to be a very defensive driver.
It's true. It's true. I drive while reading the forecast.
Right. You would make a very good pilot just based purely on that, to be fair.
Right?
I think you're just brave to drive in the Middle East. I avoid it as much as possible. Everyone else will drive for me. I'm not driving myself.
I didn't have a choice, man.
Yeah.
Now that I have a choice, I don't drive. Thank God for Uber.
Yeah, right?
Oh
I stopped driving in the Middle East, and I'm like, the funny part is that every time I get into an Uber, And the minute I sit down, the Uber driver looks at me and goes like, "You're not from here, are you?" I was like,
How?
"How did you know?" And he's like, "You put the seatbelt on." And
Yeah,
I
yeah,
go,
yeah, yeah. Or if you're in Egypt, you looked for the seatbelt
Yep.
because it
Yep.
might
Yep.
not be there.
Yes.
I was in Cairo last month for a wedding, and it was really nice to be back in Egypt for a bit. Like it's like I've since we've started this podcast, I've only been twice.
Wow.
"Wow,
But
Yeah,
it
because
was
pandemic basically cut out some of those trips,
pandemic,
right?
yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of paperwork stuff that needed to happen as well. But like now that I'm free to go back as often as I want, like it was really good to see the family and see some friends and just eat so much food. Like I got there first night and my auntie had made like just an obscene amount of food, and I ate all of it and I had a stomach ache for 2 days, and it was so worth it.
Yeah, of
man, I
course.
I was at the wedding too in Jordan."
Oh,
Man, we
nice.
really have been busy.
It's been ridiculous. Did you know I accidentally bought a house in the past like
What?
What?
I wasn't meaning to buy. So there was this. I've been looking for a house, right?
Wait, you added the wrong thing to your cart? Is that how you
Yeah, yeah,
accidentally
yeah.
bought a
The
house?
wrong checkout. Yeah, yeah. I was trying to buy. I was trying to buy a gummy bear, but instead, no. Um, no. So what happened is I saw this house and it had been on the market for like 9 weeks or something, which in the Netherlands right now is very long. But it was kind of a weird offer. Like the asking price was high, so I thought, you know what, I'll go check because I think I can get a good negotiation out of this one. Um, and I basically they made a bunch of like really weird moves that basically gave me that let me know that they had no other offers. So I went like very low, and they accepted it, and I was like, oh wait, what? Okay, you took it. Okay, well, so now I'm in like paperwork hell at the moment. Like I'm just trying to get all of this financing together. Like I want the house; it's a nice house. Like if I get it, I'll be very happy. But my God, buying houses is complicated.
Yes, it is. It is. It's no fun. Having the house is fun.
Yeah,
But but the process to get the house, that's no fun.
very stressful.
Yeah.
I didn't I thought I was never going to get it, but I did get it. So now
Alhamdulillah.
I have to get the money so I can actually close the deal. But
You better have a guest house. I'm inviting myself over.
I have a guest room. Actually, we'll have multiple
Oh,
guest rooms.
sorry. I said house. I meant room. I
I
meant
mean, y'all Montreal people with your multiple houses.
no. We
Yeah, that's just.
definitely like I do not have a guest house. I really meant a guest room in
I
your
know,
house.
I know, I know. Very Arab approach. Just like, yes, we have a second house here. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have that in Iraq. Like my
Yeah.
family has a house called the Mudif, which happens like it's a house that's a guest house. Basically, Mudif means it comes from Dayf, which is a guest,
Right.
and it's a house that like basically a communal house that's in the middle of a lot of different houses that's not owned by anybody, and where if you go visit someone in that village, you sleep in the Mudif,
Right.
which is like really cool. So that is more of an Arab
So,
tradition. Like I'm only used to seeing guest houses in the Middle East. I'm not used to
yeah.
seeing it in the West.
Yeah. I mean, it's I have guest rooms. So if I get it, come visit.
I
Uh,
can't wait.
if I
I'm
don't
looking
get
forward
it,
to
also come visit. You're
Yes,
obviously
yeah.
very welcome because
Thank you. Well, you have a guest room now, so like
I do have a guest room. So.
I've been there, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, I've had that place since the start of my career. Like I've always wanted to have a guest room
Yes.
because just indies traveled a lot, and there was a lot of couch surfing back in the days
Absolutely. I'm just eager to redeem myself. I need
on
to
the
go
airplane.
flying. Yes, I need to go flying again and not almost kill us this time.
I I really want to go fly with both of you. That's like
Yeah, that
my
would be
new
incredible. I
my
want to
new.
record an episode in the air. Like
That sounds amazing.
I actually that's like a bucket list. Like that's a
Yeah,
life goal now.
three
We have
three Arab game developers flying an airplane. Anyway,
Habibi Airlines.
yeah,
Habibi
Online.
Airlines.
and
Love
Agent
it.
Smith, don't worry about it.
Don't
Don't
worry
worry
about
No,
about
it.
it. It's
no,
gonna
we
be fun.
got this.
We got this. We got this.
Love it.
But yeah, no, 100 episodes.
Yeah, it's incredible. I have a little bit of catch up too, but I'll fast forward through it. I got an ADHD diagnosis, which explains so much of my
Wow.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow,
as a
huge.
as of just a few days ago, I'm on meds, and even though I'm on a very light dosage because you have to up them, I feel a huge difference. Like I'm gonna tell you something
Wow.
that's not gonna sound impressive, but to me, it blew my mind. I went on a 1 hour drive to a friend's house who lives like on the other side of Montreal, very far away, and I always play an audiobook, and I only rewinded 3 times because I wasn't paying attention. This
Mm.
is so mind blowing because normally I do it like dozens, like sometimes the same part. Rewind. I'm like, oh, I missed that part, like 4 or 5 or 6 times, and I give up. And I'm like, okay, whatever. I can't. Like, I'm gonna miss that part, and I keep going. So little things like this all over the place. I'm super excited to up the meds and actually, not have this weirdness that I've lived with my whole life that explains so much. Like I remember so many even episodes. I remember in one episode I said, "Oh, you don't do background watching of TV shows?"
Right.
And both of you were like, what's that about?"
What does that mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I learned that that's an ADHD thing. For me to be able to focus on something else, I need something else in the background so that I can,
Wow.
which doesn't make sense to anyone else. And I thought this was just a thing everyone else did. Oh, yeah, I watch bad TV shows. They're perfect for background watching because I don't have to pay attention. And both of you were like, What is that?"
Does this mean that on the average episode you will no longer have 45 different things? Like,
I don't know.
I have the 2 books on the toilet, I have the
Yes.
4 books in the living room, and I watch 6 TV series in the background.
Which both of you should have been like, Osama, that's not normal. You have ADHD. Nobody
Listen,
said anything.
we think you're normal exactly as you are.
Thank you, Habibi. I'll
Yeah.
take it.
Also, we are the wrong people to see the frame of reference for normal.
Fair.
Asking the 2 guys who never stay in a country longer than 3 days. Yeah. Mhm.
That is so fair. And yeah, speaking of that, I also went to Copenhagen, Denmark for the
Oh,
first
yeah, you
time.
did.
And I went
That's
to
right.
Malmo for the first time in Sweden. Both those countries are beautiful but very different from each other, even though they're close by. And I get that Malmo is not the most representative Swedish country, sorry, Swedish city
City.
in the country, but it still felt different enough
Oh,
from
yeah.
Copenhagen. Like
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
even in little things, like everyone in Copenhagen stops and waits for the light to turn green before walking or biking, and nobody in Malmo did
Yeah,
that.
they don't have time for that.
Nobody did that, and it's like I took a train ride that was 20 minutes, and everything is different now. Like
Yeah.
it was so wild.
That's the
There's a
most
lot more Arabs in Malmo, you know.
Yeah, there were
It's
a
a
lot. You could tell.
it's also really funny to hear because like the thing you just said, Osama, is the most like I've lived in North America for a large part of my life because yes, that's how borders that's how borders operate. Like
Wow.
you go across the border, things super change. It's super I didn't realize how European that is.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
like the
Yeah.
differences with borders are huge, and if you live in Europe long enough, you kind of get used to it.
yeah. It's
But
not like here. If I would go from Montreal to the States, I would pass through Vermont, which is pretty much the Canadian state. Like, it's yeah, there's no French there,
Yeah.
but it's like the
Sure.
Vermont people are like Canadians.
Yep.
That's all. That's the only difference. It takes a while before you see a change, right? And
Yeah.
then you go to New York, and New York is like the most Montreal states, like in terms of culture. We have
Right.
bagels, and we have like pastrami and smoked meat are very similar, and like the
That's
pizza culture, Italian and Jewish populations that are really big. Like New York is very Montrealish in so many ways. It's not the same, but like the transition is gradual as
right.
you move away.
Hmm.
I wasn't used to such a stark difference.
Yeah. No. And like you're naming a very interesting spot on Earth because Copenhagen, Malmo, like that combination is just a very like they're pretty much connected.
Yeah,
There's a little bit
Bridge.
of water, but like there's a
yeah,
bridge.
Yeah.
You take the bridge, you've now swapped country, and you go immediately from sort of like urban area to urban area. Like there's similar places around the world. I know, like Detroit
yeah.
up
I've
there.
done that.
Like yeah, like
Mm.
Detroit and
Windsor,
what's this?
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Windsor.
yeah.
Those two cities are right next to each other, but they don't really feel all that much like different cities all the time to me.
They
Like,
don't. There are people who
well,
live in one and work in the other
right,
interchangeably. That
and
apparently that's a normal thing in Copenhagen and Malmo as
yeah,
well.
yeah. No, I have friends that live in Malmo and work in Copenhagen. People that
Yeah.
live in Copenhagen work in Malmo. Yeah, no, it's
There's a
fascinating.
city. There's a city inside of Copenhagen that feels very different than
Right?
Copenhagen.
Yeah,
I heard about that. It's like
Yeah.
Cristiano.
Christiania.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Christiania.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
was when I was traveling there, the Canadian government has a warning not to go there.
Right.
It says there's like incredibly reduced police presence.
Yeah.
I asked the locals in Copenhagen, they're like, whatever, that's fine. But like
Oh.
the country of Canada's warning me not to go there. That's something.
It's totally safe, man, and
Right.
yeah, but it's. I think it's an interesting experience. Like, there's like little gates, like on basically like the center of Copenhagen, and like as you go through them, the wooden sign says you are now exiting the EU because it's like this,
Wow,
it's like this bohemian place that decided that we want to declare our independence from everything and call ourselves our own country,
that's wild.
and I think everybody just humors them. They'll be like, "Yeah, sure, you can do that."
Why not?
Why not?
Where's the harm in that?
So yeah, inside of Copenhagen feels like there's this other country within it that is full of with a lot of like hippies, which
That is
is
incredible.
fun.
I
There's a
regret not
Swedish
going.
there's
Yeah.
a Swedish detective show called The Bridge,
Oh,
Swedish Danish production, and it's about a duo detective from Malmo and Copenhagen, and they solve murders and stuff.
well,
It's on
that is
Netflix.
it's hilarious that you mentioned that because one of my favorite Canadian produced movies is called Bon Cop, Bad Cop, which is about like an Ontarian cop and a Quebecois cop who solve that is hilarious. I wonder how many other of these shows and or movies exist around the world with like this kind of culture clash.
Well, if you
Be
know of
interesting.
any, send us to
Yeah,
info@thehabibis.com.
what an opportunist! I love it.
It's Fauzi right on those opportunities right there. He just
Yes.
absolutely got it. Fauzi, what's been going on with you?
So yeah, lots of travel, lots of work. Visiting a lot of the studios that I work with. So I travel a lot. Doing a bunch of conferences. So I did a bit of that. We were at the BAFTAs. We spoke about that. And there was a wedding. One of my good friends was getting married in Jordan, so it was a good opportunity to go back to Jordan,
Mabruk.
spend Eid with family, and then attend the wedding with
Yeah.
friends,
Yeah.
which was a lot of fun. And oh man, like there's something that I forgot about Arab weddings, is so other than the outrageous amount of food,
Right.
outrageous, outrageous. Like I don't know how that even allowed. So much food, and we eat all of it. Like
Yeah. Yep.
that like from a dietary point of view is I committed so much like waistline suicide.
Yep.
But also like the DJs at weddings,
Right.
they have no chill
No.
in so many levels.
Yep.
Wait,
like
what?
like those guys have no chill whatsoever. So like they have no regulations when it comes to like audio safety.
Yep.
Oh,
Like the sound systems are blasting,
Yep.
and there's
wow.
like in addition to like there's a DJ playing all these like very loud hishik bishik music.
Yep.
And in addition to this, there's a band of percussionists. So like
Yep.
people with drums, and they're banging on drums to the music that the dude is playing on the DJ set. So
Wow.
like as if the music wasn't loud enough, there was on the dance floor a guy with a drum, and he's banging on that thing like next to everybody's ears. Man, I felt like I was a rock concert, and I really need earplugs in to
Right.
protect myself.
I mean, the wedding I went at in Egypt had a zephyr, so like
Oh, the
No.
Zephyr.
I was already like I could not hear by the time the wedding started. I'm sure they said yes to each other. I'm sure, but like my ears did not work for the 12 hours after that.
It's so fascinating. Like I think when I was at the wedding, I posted about the Zephyr on social media, and some people are like, I just said a very traditional Jordanian Zephyr, and everybody was like, "What's a Zephyr?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do I explain this? It
Yeah.
is a folkloric dance that is pretty much your own personalized parade.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they're
So
all
it's
very
like
loud.
they're all very loud. So it's like between 6 to 12 musicians
Yep.
slash singers
Yep.
that their job is to make as much fuss as possible as they're guiding the bride and the groom from wherever they are to the reception ceremony.
Yep.
So from the car into the hotel. they're doing a zephyr. From the hotel room into the reception hall, they're doing a zephyr. And once they're done and they're about to go back, they do a zephyr. So basically, as they're walking from any place to the other, there's this band that
It's
is making so much noise.
it's basically as if a game developer, instead of loading the footstep sound, just loaded like the loudest drum procession that's like 30 seconds plus. Like every step is just like, here we go.
And the cars themselves, when they're going from one place to another, they're not quiet either.
Oh no,
Everyone's
you honk.
honking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you gotta honk.
honking
Yeah,
the
you gotta
whole
honk.
time.
You gotta
Yeah.
honk. Come on, that's important. It's
And
important.
and there's regional differences in the zephyr. So
Yes.
like for example, some weddings in Jordan they will have like different dances, different outfits, and different musical instruments. So we would have sometimes a bagpipe in our zephyr, which is
What? I've never seen that.
probably unusual
Suffer.
for Iraq or
Astaghfirullah.
for Egypt.
Astaghfirullah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it'd be like a bunch of people with like bagpipes because that's a traditional instrument for the Jordanian army. So a lot of like
Wow.
Jordanian traditional zephyr will have bagpipes.
Okay.
Well,
I've never
So
seen that.
bagpipes sound like a bunch of derbuka and like a bunch of guys singing.
yeah.
It's usually like if the ones I've attended in Iraq. I'm not going to speak for the whole country, but they had mostly percussion instruments.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Gandhi, the book, just the usuals. Yeah.
Now
Exactly.
sometimes they'll have a midwives in Palestinian weddings, in Lebanese wedding, or even in some Egyptian weddings. The midwives is like this reed
yeah.
instrument
Yeah.
that makes like like
Yeah,
this kind of like
exactly. That's
sound.
a traditional. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like that sound that you after you keep hearing it even when it's gone. Like hours later, it's still in your head.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. That's incredible. No, I did not have a wedding in the last 2 months, and you're making me feel sad now. So, someone
you
get
gotta up,
married and invite me. Come on.
you gotta up your game, Osama.
Yeah, I know,
Was
right?
I just realized that I just mimicked a musical instrument on this podcast.
I
I'm like,
know. I
I'm
know.
doing, I'm doing all kinds of embarrassing stuff on this thing,
Oh,
like
this is great.
from singing to like pretending
You're-
to be a horn.
I mean, eventually, if you keep going, we'll just be able to put all of it together and make a new version of Habibi.
Release an album,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's an AI that'll help us do that.
Yeah,
Source all the
a supercut.
Oh, that's very exciting. That's very exciting. Well,
Chat
maybe.
GPT, make a supercut of
Oh,
all the
God.
moments in which Fauzi
Oh,
made
no.
himself
Oh,
made a fool
no.
out of himself over 100 episodes.
Oh,
the
no.
file that comes out is 200 hours. It's like, oh, okay. Okay.
It's
I see.
longer than the duration of all the episodes.
Right,
Somehow it's
exactly.
more.
I am. Yeah. Wow. I mean, how many? There must be 150 hours of Habibis at this point, because the
Yeah.
Sahur bites
Yeah.
exist too.
Yeah. It has to be
Yeah,
somewhere.
there's Sahur bites as well. That's a
Yeah,
lot of
and
content.
some of the
We did-
earlier episodes we went over time a lot. So
We got
maybe
better at
more.
that. We got better at that.
We did. But yeah,
I remember at the
we
start
have more
we were
long
like-
ones than short ones. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember at the start it was very much like we would talk for an hour and then we'd be like, "Oh God, we've barely started. Let's
Yeah.
hit all the topics."
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a lot more relaxed about the
Mhm.
structure and things after, and I think it makes for a better podcast. It makes it more natural. I mean, you don't know what you don't know. You make it the way that you think you have to make it, and you adjust.
Yeah.
That's it.
It definitely made it better for us.
Absolutely.
Like it was kind of stressful.
I think
remember-
at first. Yeah, go ahead, Ram.
Remember the pilot episode? Like when we
Which
before-
one? The aired ones or the not?
No,
aired
the
ones?
ones before that.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
They were pretty bad.
There are reason that they didn't air. Yeah. There are actually many reasons that they didn't air.
Do you still have them, Rami?
I might have a recording of them somewhere.
I think
Ooh.
I downloaded them, so I have only my voice of them. Like
Amazing.
my side, which is completely useless. It's even worse, but yeah.
It was yeah.
That's a laugh track we can use for other episodes.
Yeah, I think we've done that in one of the episodes. I remember that episode that I didn't show up, and I listened to it after, and I hear my voice laughing. And for the first 3 or 4 times it happened, it didn't register because I'm so used to hearing me laugh at your jokes, and then later when I heard myself, like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah.
Like, was that me? It just clicked. It was hilarious.
Yeah, we just put you as a laugh track. That was we needed laughter at our jokes.
That's true. What's
It's
an
not-
episode of Seinfeld without a laugh track?
Yeah. Without Osama.
I love it.
Yeah.
You're so
No, I mean,
inclusive of me. Thank you.
we just feel worse about our jokes without you, Osama. That's it. Like, you're,
We've had so many good jokes over the episodes.
it's
So
been. I mean, I was taking a quick look through all the episode titles, and my God, like we've done some. Uh, remember the insult that would make it all the way to the borders of China?
yes, that was a really good one.
It was about the kebabs, wasn't it?
That was a reaction to the Iraqi kebabs.
Yeah.
I feel like like there's maybe like some Habibis required listening, because as I
Yes.
look at some of these titles from the very first, like I think 8 elements, 8 or
Yeah.
6 episodes,
Yeah.
there's like things that we mention every episode
Yeah.
almost that
Pioneers
is
in the
coming
world of
from this.
animation that like
For
comes all
example,
the time. Flowers from the CIA
the
with
CIA.
Doilies on the PlayStation.
yes, yes. We still put doilies on it to wrap it up. It's
We,
Yeah,
amazing.
so the doilies is like a part of the show now, and it
Yes,
started off from that episode, I think.
yes,
it's the Habibis lore.
absolutely. I love it.
We have lore now.
It's
We need to
incredible
start
how
to
this
do
happened.
Habibi's raids
Yeah.
to wrap up on the road.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff here. What do
You
you
were
think
saying
the
something,
original?
Osama.
No, no, no. I was actually like the episode that I was the laugh track on was called the Osama laugh track, and somehow I still missed that, and somehow I didn't even click when I listened to it again. That's the part that kind of shocked me. But yeah. Anyway, I have ADHD. That's my excuse now.
We have
Yeah.
we have the original Shoutcaster, and I have a
Yes.
feeling that I know what that was about, but I don't remember what that was about.
I don't remember what that was
I
about
think
as
it's
well.
about mothers being the original
Yeah.
shoutcasters,
Oh yeah,
maybe.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's my vague recollection. No, we had some really good moments. One of my favorites was my setup for when I went to Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and I told you the difference between those two cities. Do you remember
Yeah,
that?
yeah. That was such a bad joke. Oh my God. Oh, I forgot.
Yeah. I don't want
Oh
to
no.
spoil it for people. You have to go back and listen to the episode. I'll find you the title later. Add it to the show notes that we haven't put on for months.
Oh no, I forgot about that.
Who was it
No.
that you accidentally punched? Yeah,
Frodo.
yeah. Frodo, you
Frodo.
accidentally yes.
Yeah.
And then I told the joke about how did he roll with the punches?
Yep. Yep. You did.
Uh,
You did.
yeah, all my favorite moments are jokes. What does that say about me?
There's-
Jokes is an overstatement.
oh. Ooh.
They're like super dad puns.
Yeah. Super dad puns.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah. I also love Dr. Hub. That was
That was a good one.
Dr. Hope.
That
That
was a
was
good
such
one.
a heartfelt answer to that email. It was
oh,
hard. You earned that nickname.
thank you. I'll take it. I
I
love
think.
that it has a 7 in it. Like for the Hassan, it's so perfect.
I mean, it's hard to do it otherwise. Like, what are you gonna write,
Yeah.
Doctor Hope?
Dr. 7 Up, like the drink.
Didn't we have an episode about Sprite? I think there was an
Yeah.
episode about Sprite being like a magical.
Yes, a cure for everything. And then we
Which it
found
is.
out that that's the same thing in South America
Right.
and other places in the
I-
world.
I'll be really honest. That's really been one of my favorite things about the Habibis, about this
Mhm.
running the podcast, has been
Yeah.
like sort of hearing that a lot of
Parallels.
things we think of as explicitly Arab are not necessarily Arab or Middle Eastern. They're just not Western,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Like, which is wild because like so I was visiting Croatia the other day for Reboot, one of my favorite events of the year, and a lot of people there are fans, and they're just like, yeah, no, like a lot of things you say are similar to what we do. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
huh, okay.
I love
But
it.
yeah, it turns out that like a lot of things, from like good things to weird things to like slightly problematic things, all exist in places everywhere. Like the ship,
Yeah.
the throwing of the slippers
Yeah.
is everywhere.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
and the 7 Up thing or Sprite or whatever it is, like some sort of like lemony soda, is
Yeah.
like medicine
Yes.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
How
Even
did that
when
spread?
we
I'm so
talk about
curious.
like the flowers on the WhatsApp
Yes,
group, it's
exactly.
yeah,
like it's in like Italy, Portugal, South America, and all kinds of places.
Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting. I'm very curious how these things spread that way and not towards the Western world. It's probably something to do with like, Hollywood and not propagating that, but it's still very interesting
probably.
why it would spread.
Yeah, I don't know. I find it very fascinating, and like honestly, just running into people who listen to the podcast is, I'm always shocked at how many people listen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Just
when we went to Germany, we had fans from Ukraine. Remember? They said, "Yeah, everybody there listens to you." Oh,
Yeah,
remember that? We took a big picture with the flag.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That was.
I
I
love the
mean,
fun photo.
yeah.
yeah. I mean,
You
it
were
was.
both lifting me off the ground.
To be
But
fair, I didn't need Rami's help, but anyway, I digress.
I'm just gonna leave that right where it is, and
I'm
that's it.
grateful for it. I just didn't need it.
Well,
That's all I'm
I'll
saying.
Yeah.
I'll take
Mhm.
it as I'm light and in shape. A
Yes,
compliment.
yes, yes. That's exactly what he meant.
I love it.
Not small and insignificant.
No,
Right.
no, absolutely not.
Um.
I'll carry you anywhere, yeah, Fauzi.
Oh,
Aw.
Habibi.
And now, if Fauzi says, "I'll carry you anywhere," that's gonna be the
No,
funny.
that's just a
That's gonna
lie.
be.
That's just impossible. I love you for the sentiment, but no, that just can't happen.
I can try. I can deadlift
Yeah.
you
All right. Next time I see you, we'll see
This is,
how far off the
this
ground.
is getting recorded. Just for
No,
everybody
no.
listening, don't worry. We're gonna have this. This is gonna be
Yeah,
great.
you can either use it on Twitter or to show it to the doctor at the ER. One of the two.
Or both, or both.
What happened to this patient? Hold on, let me roll up the video.
Right.
I'm assuming you're the patient here, but you never know.
Mhm.
Who
Yeah.
knows? Like if I
Who
drop you
knows?
the wrong way, you know.
That
But
would
I
require
think
you lifting me first.
both of you are gonna end up in the ER with this one. But it'll make for a very good Twitter video. But yeah, no, but you're right, Osama. Like filling the room at Gamescom was kind of, I didn't expect that. Like
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
I think
I
each of
think.
us individually can fill a room at an event, like we do frequently for work, right? But
Mm,
I had, you know, when we were talking about doing this originally, like I think part of what we were hoping to create was sort of like a place that feels like home for people of our culture in the games industry,
Hmm.
yeah.
right? And I hadn't really considered that it would also be a home for other people, nor that it would be this big of a home
Hmm.
to
Mm.
people, right? Like I'd expected like, like 30, 40, 50 like people to sort of like listen, but that's not at all what happened. Like
No.
there's lots of people around the world are just tuning in like whenever there's an episode, and it's just, yeah, it's kind of humbling. It's also
It's
kind of like,
humbling. Yeah.
it's at the same time, it's that kind of thing. Is like, gosh, this really was just a thing that a lot of people needed, right?
Yeah.
In games, is a,
Mm.
a place where they can feel they can be themselves without worrying about judgment of whether they're being strange or different or like don't fit the culture. Or the amount of conversations I've had with people via email or via Twitter or whatever about all sorts of stuff related to Arab culture and like how it fits in with the games industry. Like I get a lot of questions about like Islam from game
Yes.
developers, which
Yes.
I always try to sort of like talk, but get questions about drinking, get questions about food, get questions about recipes, which is also fun. I'm not, you know, my Arabic cooking is not as good as it should be. Like my teta only really taught the women in the family. She refused to teach the men how to cook mostly. So I never learned the recipes. So I'm still trying to perfect my macarona bechamel. I'll get it. One day I'll get it.
I believe in you, Yarami.
Um, but it's that thing, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
it. I don't think any of us expected it to be big.
No.
No.
But I'm happy to see like how like not only is it a place for us, a place for us to to connect with like-minded people. I feel like it's also interesting to see like how much people like in our industry now know a bit more about our culture,
Yes.
because of some of the conversations that we've had.
I get
I
called
actually
Habibi by random people. People tell me
all the time.
Inshallah all the time now.
Inshallah, all the time. I've
Yes, I
even
love
been
it.
having like a harder time try to like sneak to the bathroom to pay for a bill nowadays. Like, like I pretend to like, oh, it's time to go to the bathroom, and people are like, Fauzi, we've heard the episode. We know what you we know what you're going to do. Are you trying to sneak to pay for the bill?
Oh
You're like,
no.
la 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 la, no 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 no. Inshallah, inshallah.
We
I'm just going to the toilet.
we revealed our secrets. Oh
Yeah.
no.
It's so funny, like or like when we talk to like I be late for an appointment for something, and the other person who wouldn't be Arab would be like, "Oh, you're coming in Arab time, then," like.
Yeah.
Yes.
uh, so like they like a lot of the stuff that we've mentioned about our culture is like
Yeah,
becoming knowledge for people to kind of like to know more about us, and I find that to be like very warm, like it's
Absolutely.
super nice for me. And a really nice memory for me is I think it was on my first day at Ubisoft. I was recently talking about this in an external interview, and it was on my first day to join the company, and we have like an intranet kind of thing, and in that intranet they've announced that I've joined, and there was a lot of comments on that post, welcoming me to the company, and I
Mm.
think every other comment was like, oh, we have a Habibi in the company.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
So like there was a lot of people kind of like they've known of me through the podcast, or like they identify me as Habibi, which
Wow.
uh
I love
which I
that.
love, which I love.
Yeah.
And there was also a lot of fun times in which like I would introduce myself as like, oh yeah, I'm the third guy. You know,
Right.
I'm
I do
I'm
the
the,
same thing.
I'm the third Habibi. And they were like, oh, there's this thing that Rami and Osama are doing. Like, yeah, yeah, I'm the third Habibi.
No,
But
no,
I,
no. I
but
do the
I
same
do the
thing. I'm
same.
also the third Habibi.
Me too. Me too.
What? We're all the third Habibi.
We're all the third
We're all the
Habibi.
third Habibi.
I love that.
That's
That's
also
great.
the most error possible thing to do. I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like it's like, oh no,
But
no, it's them. It's
we
them.
follow our motto: safety
Yeah.
Yes.
third.
Exactly.
we're all the safety Habibi.
I love
We're
it.
all here to make sure that this podcast doesn't go on fire.
I love it. I really do love sharing our culture and our background and all these other stories that we have broadly. One thing that took a little bit of getting used to is because, we also talk a little bit about our private lives. And sometimes I forget what I shared. So when I see someone who I barely talk to refer to a thing I mentioned that I thought was kind of private, that it took me a little while to get used to that.
Uh,
And the other thing is, and I know there's a little bit of an aside, but do you know the concept of parasocial relationships?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there is one person, and I won't mention them, this GDC specifically, who came up to me and he said, "Osama, how are you doing?" And I said, "Hi," and he really genuinely like thought that this I knew this person, and so I was like scouring my brain to try to remember. And he looked at me and he's like, "Oh, it's me," and he said his name, and I still like blank look, never heard his name, and then he stopped for a second. He said, "Oh wait, you have no idea who I am." Just like that. And he's like, "I listened to your podcast," and it just didn't dawn on him. And I thought it was like initially
wow.
a little confusing, but it
Yeah.
like charming in its own way. I don't know if anything like that has ever happened to y'all.
It happened to me actually. I ran into somebody that says, "You don't know me, but I feel like I know you a lot because I
Yeah.
hear your stories and I'm following your journey with the other Habibis on the podcast on a
Mm.
regular basis." So, like, he feels like I know I met you for the first time, but I feel like giving you a hug because I feel like I
Yeah.
know you for such a long
Right.
time. And of course, we did.
It's
But
beautiful.
it's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
I've also feel like I wish it's a good opportunity for me to get to know people and like yeah,
Yep.
tell me more about you. Let's fix this, make this a lot more even.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I love. I mean, like, obviously, I've sort of been like a strange developer public figure for
Yeah.
13 years
A
now.
long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So like
You
I'm
must have
kind of
had that
used.
before the
Yeah,
Habibis,
I had it before
yeah.
the Habibis, but I do think like and one thing Osama pointed out that I think is very true is like this is the first time it's for me as a person instead of for me as a game developer. And
Oh.
that's a little strange because before, like my public life and my private life are like very separate. And for a long time, early on in my career, my cultural life was also just not really part of. I didn't really feel too comfortable
Yeah.
being too openly Arab, being too openly Muslim in the part of in the first part of the industry.
I can relate
Uh,
with that. Yeah.
right, you're just trying to get things done, and then people ask if you want to do a lunch meeting during Ramadan. It's like hmm,
Yeah.
hmm, hmm. Yeah, but I'm fasting, so I won't eat. And they're like, "Oh no, no, we can just have the meeting another time." I'm like, "No, no, I need the meeting to happen.
Yeah.
I just can't eat. Like I will just sit there." And they're like, "Oh no, that will be so uncomfortable." I'm like, "For you, not for me."
Yeah.
Like, so you kind of get like worried, and it wasn't until much later that I felt more comfortable being Arab. But then there was so much context missing for people.
Yeah.
And now with the Habibis, I feel like all the puzzle pieces kind of come together. Like the people who want to know about the culture can just listen. Like you take the first 10 episodes of the Habibis, it's like a pretty good crash course.
It's a primer, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like, and then you can just like hop in for any of the other one. We should actually probably make like a separate thing on our website that's just like, here's your 10 intro
Yeah.
episodes. Listen to
Good
these.
idea. Good idea. We should
Um,
crowdsource that. If you have ideas of which episodes that we should add to that list, send us an email to info@thehabibis.com.
no, Osama got his segue in as well.
Thank
It's
you.
just
Thank
me
Yeah.
you.
that's missing. It's just me that's missing.
We
Oh
need that
no.
lore also down, like the acknowledging segues,
Right.
making
Oh
Osama
yeah.
happy with emails.
Oh
I think
yeah.
there,
Absolutely.
there's a bit of lore that you need the primer for as
Yeah.
well.
I really love how none of that is planned. It's just like completely emergent. It just comes out of nowhere. I love it. And like that is my favorite part about like having this, this culture that we're developing. No, I don't mean the Arab culture. I mean like the Habibis
The
podcast
Habibis
culture that's
culture.
that's developing. That's one of my favorite part is it
Hmm.
actually feels like home. I come back and I talk to y'all and it's just like I don't need to prep.
I,
I like we just have a way of speaking with each other that's all loving and like welcoming and encouraging, and I love that we're putting this out there. We're establishing our own language in a sense, our own our own
mhm.
culture. It's beautiful.
I
On
think
that note, one of the things I really like is that every now and then I'll be at a game event, and I am 100% the both of you have had the same. A person would come up to me and they'll be like, Fauzi, check this out. And then they'll show me two pictures of them with the both of you.
right.
You know?
Yes.
And then they'll be
Yes.
like, and now I got you, Fauzi, so you're the third Habibi,
Yes.
Yep.
and I need to
Yes.
take a photo. And I
Yes.
feel like we need to own that. Like there's this thing going on of people trying to catch all three Habibis.
Yep. Yep.
And we need to own this. I think we need to make like I don't know, some kind of badge or pin or whatever.
Yep.
And
Yes.
I
like
agree.
we carry a bag of these things with us, and then whenever somebody can provide photographic evidence that they've met the other two Habibis, then I would give them the pin for
I'm in.
completing the collection.
I'm in.
Let's
I'm
do
in.
it. Let's do it. We'll find
I,
an Etsy shop or something and order some.
yeah.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Inshallah.
Inshallah, we'll do it. Remember
Well,
to add inshallah so it's not legally binding.
inshallah to everything. Inshallah everything.
Love it.
But no, that's a great idea. It just happened to me in Croatia as well. Like somebody walked up to me and was like, "I want to take a selfie with you." I'm like, "Of course." They take a selfie and they're like, "Now I have all three of you." I'm like, "What?"
Yes.
They're just like, "Here, look." And they're like, "Oh, it's Osama. Oh, it's Fauzi. Okay."
No, I love that that is a thing. We
Yeah.
like, where did
Gotta
that come from? I love
gotta
it
catch
so
them all.
much. It's incredible. I love it.
Yeah.
I think like it's also now coming into like game events. Like I think the other day they've announced that in the next reboot that they're gonna have all three of us.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
the
That was actually a
Yes,
headline.
yes. It was.
and then
I
the
saw
game
that.
industry was writing an article saying like all three Habibis are gonna be
that, that is incredible. That's wild. That blows my mind. I
Makes me
love it
that
very
for
so
me
happy.
much.
is so funny.
Yes,
Yeah.
I cannot wait to go to the same conference with y'all again. It's been almost a year. No, maybe not
Yeah.
a year, but it's been 9 months
Yeah.
since
Yeah.
we've done that.
I'll
Yeah,
fix it. Gamescom is around the corner.
it's
Yeah.
not that far. Yeah, I have to book my
Not
dates.
that far. Yeah, I
Oh
have
yeah.
to
I
book
should.
some hotel as
Yeah. I
well.
need to book a hotel as well. That's fairly important.
Yeah,
Uh,
but it
they're
gets
gonna be
sold out,
crazy
right?
expensive. Yeah, they're gonna
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
crazy
If we wait
expensive. I
till.
know.
Actually, by the time this one launches, we need to make sure that we book hotels before this episode, before another like few
Maybe it would be
thousand.
maybe it would be cheaper if, like, considering how expensive the hotels are at Gamescom, if all three of us just accidentally ship in and Rami accidentally buying an apartment in Cologne.
Right. Or what if we stay at my place and I fly us to Gamescom every morning?
I'm in. Wait.
That
We could
works.
take turns flying. Just
Yeah.
saying.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, if Fauzi's flying, we need to make sure that we're pointing in the right direction. And if Osama is flying, we need to wait to land.
I can
Or
land in water,
parachutes.
right? That's
Yeah.
soft, right?
Cologne is not super, like, there's a river in the middle, but like that's about it. So.
It's not the Hudson, if that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, yeah.
Osama.
Will be quite an entrance for the Habibis, just like land an airplane in the river.
We'll figure it out. That's a big building. They
That
probably
was
have a
actually the
launch
first
pad on
time
top
we
of
got
it.
that was the first time we deserved the pin.
Yeah,
Was Gamescom,
Yeah,
wasn't
that's
it?
true. That was
That's
our
true.
first pin. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a live podcast in a sense. That was
And
amazing.
wasn't that the first time all three of us were in the same place?
Yes,
That's true.
it was.
It
It
was.
really was. Yeah,
That is so wild to me because
It
I've
is.
been in industry with both of you for so long.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. But like, I still remember the time at GDC where I had like Fauzi saw you, you parted with Fauzi, and then I saw Fauzi, and it was
Right.
like, and
That's
he
true.
just told me I was just with Rami, and I was like, and this is like 2 years before the podcast, or at least a
Right.
year before the
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah, a couple of years, yeah.
Yeah, and like back then, I was like, too bad. It would have been cool to like talk together.
Right.
Who would have known what the future held for us? That's incredible.
Right. But actually, I was thinking about this the other day. Osama, we met at an event in the US, right?
Kind of. So we met a few times before that. The first time I actually saw you in person is when you came to Montreal. There was a demo night, and
Right.
you were just there. You weren't presenting anything or anything
Right.
like that. But there was an indie on stage whose game wasn't working, and you ran on stage and debugged it for him.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, that guy's cool. That's the first time I saw you, and I went and I said, hey, that was a really cool thing that you did.
Yeah.
And then, but when we actually got to know each other is in Phoenix.
In Phoenix, yeah.
When we
the
flew a
most
drone
Montreal-like place, yeah.
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 Yeah, that was
God,
hot.
that was warm. It was very hot.
And you wore a leather jacket anyway. I was like, what is up with this guy?
You're the only people where I cannot use the excuse that I'm an Arab.
Yes, exactly.
Normally when people go like, you wear your leather jacket in this temperature, I'm like, I'm an Arab. They're like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
And then it's like, oh, that makes sense. But
it was like
doesn't.
close to 50 degrees Celsius. It was something ridiculous.
It was really warm. Otherwise, I don't have access to all my stuff, man. Like, I need access to my stuff.
You looked great. I don't know how you made it work.
Thanks.
But,
I mean, just being an Arab wearing a leather jacket looks good. It's a good combo. Where did we meet, Fauzi?
I think first time we met was at the GDC. I was in Japan. I was living in Japan, and everybody was like, "You gotta meet. You're Arab, and you make games. You have to meet Rami."
Yeah,
right.
And then I think I went to one of your panels at GDC, and we met afterwards. So it was like a brief discussion, like you and I, we just had a chat, and people introduced us. But I remember the time we really got close was we spent a week together in Singapore.
It was Singapore.
That's the one.
Yeah,
that's the one. We got super close. We were like playing games all the time.
We were playing Lethal League.
Amazing.
We were playing Lethal League the entire time.
That was a good game. It was a good game. Yeah,
one of my favorite fighting games. It's really good.
Rami also came up on stage to fix my monitor. I was doing a talk. And like I had these monitors on stage in which you're supposed to see your slides, and mine was not working. And the IT guy was like really confused. And Rami was like puts his backpack and comes up on stage and be like, "Oh yeah, I've had that before." And then he like kneels down and starts to fix it. And then he fixed it and tells the IT guy, "No worries, man, I got this."
Yeah, that's exactly what he did in Montreal. He's like, I know this problem. I can fix this. And he went on stage, and the dev was like, what are you doing? But then he saw the results, and he's like, oh, okay, keep going.
Let him cook.
Yeah.
Amazing.
No, I mean, I've seen a lot of presentation issues, so I can fix a lot of presentation issues.
Yeah, that makes sense.
For Fauzi, didn't work. He came on stage directly and was like, "Let me have a look at the fixed it." And he was like, "Good luck, mate." And then he went up stage.
Now I'm curious, how did you two meet?
So I knew about Fauzi from the internets for a long time because there were
Mm,
like 5 Arabs in the industry, right?
yeah,
When I learned about Fauzi, so I followed his career. And someone who we know in common, Don Daglo, he said you have to meet
ooh,
Fauzi. He just put it on my
yeah,
radar, and he said he's at GDC. I saw him, and then I saw you on the street, and I recognized you. So I'm like, hey, you're
yeah.
Fauzi, and you said, yeah, you're Osama, and we started talking. That was
I
that was
Nice.
remember.
yeah.
I remember that moment.
Yeah.
You were wearing your red
Yes.
outfit.
Yes, I was red hoodie, red baseball cap, the red
Yeah,
shoes,
but
and
when I first heard about you, Sam, it was way back. I was living in New Zealand at the time, and I was working for Gameloft, and you
oh
were
yeah,
there at
I
the
was at
time.
Game Loft. Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, oh, there's another Arab game guy over there. And I connected with you on LinkedIn, and I sent you a
Yes,
message of like, cool that there's another Arab game dev at Gameloft. And we
I
just
actually
exchanged really quickly like
I
that.
remember that. I had forgotten, but it's true.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't make the connection until just now. I remember that vividly.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a long time ago. That must have been
Yeah.
2000
12
and
years ago, like
something
more
like that.
maybe? Yeah.
2011, something
Yeah.
like that.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, you just blew my mind. I remember that happening because it was so rare that it happened. But like it didn't make the connection that it was you until just now, but it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. It's a
Wow.
small world.
It is a small world. Oh, you know what else I remember, which is a little bit of a tangent? I
Yeah.
remember getting invites when I worked at Ubisoft. I was getting
Mm.
invites to meeting rooms in Morocco, Casablanca,
Yeah.
and at weird times, like like my 4 a.m. my time or something like that. And I'm like, what
Mm.
is happening? I don't know anyone in this meeting, and I would just ignore them. And I later found out that the Osama who spoke at Game Dev World, who you know from
Ah,
Jordan, Fauzi.
Osama Hussein. Yes,
Yes, he was working at Ubisoft at the same time as me, and we
that's
spoke
true.
like. And then years later, I'm like, I was getting your invites. He's like, I was getting yours because people just couldn't imagine back then.
Wow. What a funny story. And I know both Osamas. That's a small world. He's at Sumo now. Yeah. A small world. Me and him, Osama and I worked on our first game together.
The other
Like
Osama.
our very, very first game. Osama was part of the original nine that we started working on the game. And then he moved over to UB Casablanca, ended up working on like Rayman and all kinds of cool stuff. And now he's at Sumo. Osama, shout out to Osama, awesome guy. But yeah, and used to get his meeting invites. That's pretty wild. Yeah. That's funny. I like that, all three of us basically at some point before we really knew each other, everybody was like, you have to meet Rami, you have to meet Osama. And then now once we know each other, it's like, how's Rami? How's Osama?
Yeah.
How's the other Arab guys in the industry?
Yeah. Yeah. It's good.
There's a lot
So
more of
many.
us, and it makes me so happy.
Same. Yeah. There's still not that many Ramis and Fauzis, but I feel there's at least a number of Osamas.
Yeah.
It's pretty common.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think there's one or two other ones, at least that I know of. I'm sure there's more, but like that's exciting to me because when I started in this industry, I wasn't even sure if there were other Arabs. Right. I know. I know. Yeah. There's quite a bit of Osamas. You're right. Yeah. Rami Ismail is interesting because Rami just kind of happens in North Africa, and then Ismail happens sort of like in Mina, and the only country where they really overlap is Egypt. So
True.
whenever I go like Rami Ismail, they're like Egyptian. I'm like, Masri. Like, okay. Nobody ever guesses wrong on that one. Like it's always
Yeah.
exactly right.
As the pronunciation also gives away. It's not
Yeah,
Rami Ismail.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
Egyptian.
yep,
مش أي رامي، رامي إسماعيل.
yep. Bizabt. That's me. But yeah, so Egyptian. It's always people look at my passport. People hear me say my name. They're like Egyptian. I'm like, yep. hmm And the Egyptian accent is quite recognizable. Let's be honest.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
I always forget. hmm It always makes me laugh when I go to Egypt and I'm like I'm talking to somebody and they're not speaking Egyptian. I really have to take a moment. I'm like, sorry,
The
what?
one, the one thing that I feel like we wanted to touch on it, but we went on a on a series of stories, is that we were busy and we didn't record for a while because of like all the stories that we mentioned. But
Right,
then we got together and we started discussing the cadence of the podcast
right, right,
because
right.
like the cadence part we wanted to touch back on, but then there was, I don't know, an hour of discussion about a bunch of other things. But I I want us to touch on it a little bit at the end of the episode, to kind of like, because we want, like, as you can see, we have a lot of fun doing these, and we have a lot of fun just being in each other's companies and chatting about stuff, and we have a lot of fun in, like, people recognizing the stuff that we record and how they react to it and all of that. But our schedule can get a little bit crazy, and a
A
little
little bit,
bit
a
is
little bit, a little bit, a
it's an
little bit.
understatement. Um,
Yeah, 3 weeks.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
think because of that, we didn't want to kind of. We need to be ourselves, and we need to, like, instead of feeling guilty about missing
hmm
a cadence, even though we add inshallah, which makes it not contractually obligating. And our minds, we were
As
like,
you all know.
as you all know, as you all know. No, like, we didn't want to feel like we're disappointing people by constantly missing a time, and that's, I
hmm
feel like there was a. I also don't want us to feel like we're hard on ourselves, like, oh, you shouldn't miss the episodes and all of that. So I kind of like, as we were talking about this, is just, how about we record whenever, we check, are you guys available today? If
Yeah.
all say yes, or at least two say yes, then we record something and send it out there. But if it doesn't work out, خلاص ماشي.
Well,
It's all
well,
good.
we're basically gonna lean into the inshallah part a bit more.
Yeah.
Is really what's gonna happen. Like we love the podcast, we love the community. We've talked about this a bunch, and it's just with the way life is going, hitting every week is probably not good. And all of us really hate disappointing people. And we know somewhere deep down we're probably not like nobody's probably upset if we miss a week or we miss, but like occasionally it looks like it might be more than a few weeks. And honestly, the stress of trying to get all three of us together probably made it harder for us to record some episodes. So I think for sort of like a way to wrap up this episode 100 then is the Habibis is going to continue because we love the Habibis and we love the
Hmm.
community,
We love
but
you.
we love you all as listeners. And as people that come up to us and tell us stories and share and email at the info@thehabibis.com. Got it in.
Or
Um,
join us at Discord at thehabibis.com.
oh, you had to one up us. Had to one up us.
I had to do it.
Yeah. Um. Oh
Uh,
my god. Oh my god. Okay, we got check. Okay, let me grab the check.
well
Right.
done. Well done.
Nailed it. We really need to get paid for this stuff. But, um,
If we ever respond to those emails.
right. Um, but we're not going to fully commit to it being like every Friday. We're just gonna say like when we get an episode out, inshallah, we'll get an episode out. Beyond that, it'll stay to Habibis exactly as you know it. So we'll be there, but inshallah, inshallah,
One
yeah,
episode at a time.
one episode at a time. Yeah, yeah, good. That was important. We should. I'm glad we mentioned that part.
Yeah. Set your
Yeah.
notifications so that when the inshallah moment comes, you'll inshallah find out.
Yeah, exactly. You can subscribe. You can subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting software. So if you're listening to this on our website or you're finding it through a link on Twitter or something, just hit the subscribe button on anything from Spotify to Apple to whatever like pod reader or whatever podcast app you're using.
We're on
Like
everything.
we're literally on all the things. So find us on any of all the things, and then we'll be there.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. I like it.
for
Nice.
for the lawyers out there, for
Yeah,
Frank that's listening,
Yep. We'll be there. Inshallah. That's a good one. I like that. We'll be there, inshallah. That sounds
we'll
good.
be there, inshallah.
Yeah. Well, I think that should wrap it up. 100 episodes.
100.
We did it.
100 100 تاكسي الجمعية.
Mia. That's the episode title. Mia.
100.
Well, talk next time, y'all.
Salam. It's still recording for me. Oh, let me fix it. It's because it connected again to the Ubisoft internet. We have that backup, but also I'm saved locally. So let me see what happens when I switch it now. So you should have it all when I do that. Hopefully, inshallah. But I do have the local recording. So I'm gonna switch now. All right. I switched now. Can you guys hear me?